Get a sense of what people are fleeing from. There's a steady stream of people coming here now. They're carrying their bags, their suitcases. Some of them have their pets. They're taking just what they can carry. And I remember thinking, what would I take if it was me? What would I be grabbing if I had to run out the door with little or nothing? Now, the Ukrainians had blown the bridge at the entrance to Irpin, because if the Russians had got that far, they could have literally driven straight down the road into the capital. So the only way out was by foot. It was a very precarious journey. You had to cross an icy river on planks of wood that were balanced on boulders. And all the while, the shelling was continuing. People were being targeted as they fled. This is where we saw very clearly that the Russians, contrary to what they were claiming, they were targeting civilians and they were targeting civilian areas. And it was extraordinary to stand there and hear the shelling and feel the biting cold and actually hear screaming. And to remind yourself that this was happening in Europe in 2022.
It was the scale of the Russian attack which was overwhelming. The blunt force that Russia was using to smash through neighbourhoods, to get into cities.
Get in here! Get in! Get in!
That blunt force that Russia was using was overwhelming. I've just never seen anything like it in my life. I mean, I've covered a lot of wars, but not wars where you have that force of artillery, of tank fire. Just beyond this position, there's only open country and Russians. They've tried to punch through here again and again and again, and they've failed. The Ukrainian armed forces are keeping them at bay. Everything was being thrown towards Kharkiv and to civilians and to the people there. And Russia was saying it was only targeting military installations. That was a lie. It was very clear that was a lie. And we knew these were lies because I'd covered Syria for many years, and Russia helped Bashar al-Assad defeat the revolution in Syria, and did that with absolute brutality, without care for civilians. That Russian playbook we were seeing played out again in Ukraine.
As a Ukrainian and as a journalist, I think I realized quite fast that this is more than just Russia's attempts to seize some lands in Ukraine or to occupy the Ukrainian territories. This is pretty much the existential struggle of Ukrainians for themselves, for their future and for their identity. We traveled all across the region of Kharkiv that was retaken by the Ukrainian army in September 2022 within the successful counteroffensive. We spoke to really brave teachers, educators, that told us terrifying stories of tortures for refusal to teach in Russian and to teach their school children that they are not Ukrainians anymore. I spoke to the school director, Lydia Tilna, and when we arrived in her house, she burst into tears and she told me, now I feel that my pain, my choice and my life really matter, because my story will be told.
Крили і кинули мене в камеру. У камері так цемент був. І я, Жаночка, 5 суток сиділа, не їсти, не пити, не води. Я на цементі так сиділа, так. Я прощалася з усім. І так мене, ви знаєте, душа болить. Думаю, ну ніхто не знає, де я і що.
So at that point, it became so clear that beneath bombardments, shelling, attacks from air, from land, from sea, there is also a big identity battle. And Ukrainians really have to defend their own identity in this war with Russia.
When we went to Kherson late December, I think it became pretty clear for us quite quickly that what we'd seen about it before from November onwards, from when it was liberated, was really these stories of jubilation, of people saying, yeah, we're still under attack, but we'll endure this. But then we were there on a day when, according to Ukrainian official numbers, 41 mortars landed in the city of Kherson. We can't verify that because we didn't count it, but we were there and it was continuous.
This is the constant sound that we hear in Kherson of artillery fire being exchanged. This city is essentially now pretty much, on the front line, close to the river, which has become the de facto front line in the south. Behind me actually is where an explosion took place just over an hour ago. 5 people were killed here, 20 were injured.
It's not a very big city, so wherever you are in the city, you kind of hear it quite loud. And I think really the spirit of that city, where it was like, we can endure the cold, we can endure having no power, we can endure having no running water. And then suddenly when you are shelled 40 times in a single day, many people, their spirit broke and they just decided they want to leave. And we saw that happen literally in front of our eyes in a matter of few hours.
Right at the beginning, we met this young man. He was with the National Guard then, Eugene Gromadsky, fighting for his country, fighting for his survival. And one of the first things I heard when I met him was that his father had been killed a few days earlier as they fought to push back the Russians. Where are the Russians?
Русські солдати, русські військові стоять плюс-мінус 800-900 метрів звідси, з даної позиції. Зараз ви чули.
Eugene would eventually be awarded the Hero of Ukraine award from President Zelensky for his bravery that day, for keeping back the Russians. And one of the interesting things in this war is because Ukraine has held on and because people have by and large managed to stay in place, we've been able to keep in contact with them. So at the end of last year we revisited Eugene and he is transformed. He's gone from this young lad wearing training shoes to a fully fledged soldier who's been battling for his life. He's seen his comrades die and he's battle hardened in every sense, battle scarred too. There have been a lot of casualties in this war. You've lost a lot of people. Do you fear death?
В будь-якому випадку, бо хто не боїться, тут вже мертвий. І смерть треба зустрічати з відкритими руками, і тоді вона буде обходити тебе стороною, тому що вона любить дуже сильно хворобу. Тому я не задумувався смерті і тільки думаю о житті своїх побратимів.
And that's an interesting transformation because it's a transformation that Ukraine has undergone. It's changed its economy, it's changed how people live their lives, and the terror from the Russian bombing campaign, whether it's missiles or artillery, still exists there. But underneath all of that is a determination. It's our country. We won't give it up. It's our families, it's our land. We are not going to give up this fight.
I was observing that dense black smoke billowing over the horizon of the city when suddenly I spotted the young couple, newly married couple, in the empty street of Lviv. And it was very gloomy. It was almost twilight and you could feel uncertainty and danger in the air. You can feel that even amid this horror and terror, life and love are winning over death.
Одружились, і це буде, напевно, найкращий день в нашому житті. Ми з Альоною, як сім'я, однозначно пов'язуємо своє майбутнє з Україною.
Це якраз і забезпечить нашу країну тим життям і для наших і ВСУ, і волонтерів, і людей. Вони побачать, що є життя. Серед цього всього негативу хочеться і щось таке позитивне. Жити потрібно, тому що
Now we're a year in, the world is still paying attention, the West is still sending weapons, but you have to wonder how long is that focus going to stay here if there is no major breakthrough this year in 2023. And that is a real fear that people here have, that the longer the war grinds on, the less the outside world will be paying attention.
We've been there through all seasons. We arrived in the midst of winter, there was snow on the ground, it was freezing cold. Then there was the thaw of spring, then the sunflowers were planted and then we saw them grow. And then we saw the sunflowers rot on their stalks, not harvested because the Russian aggression was still happening. And we'll go back again and then it will be another cycle, another 4 seasons, and you wonder how many winter, summer, spring, autumn will Ukraine have to endure before this war is over.
Hello. Well, it certainly feels on the chilly side today, particularly in the wind, and the sunshine has been somewhat hit and miss today as well. You can see rather a lot of cloud across many central, northern and eastern areas of the country. Here's the forecast for this evening. That chilly breeze continues, even 1 or 2 showers. The skies will clear, particularly across western and central areas through the course of tonight, so there will be a touch of frost early in the morning. And then these are the mid-morning temperatures, early to mid-morning temperatures, typically around 1 to 5 degrees Celsius. The forecast for tomorrow shows a few showers perhaps around the northeast of England, maybe the borders of Scotland. But I think generally speaking it's a dry day and a fairly bright one too. Again, quite chilly, but I think the winds won't be quite as strong tomorrow, so perhaps it'll feel a little less cold. The forecast then into Monday shows very similar weather with that high pressure sticking around, just the odd fleeting shower.
No.